All right, welcome, welcome. I just want to take a moment to say good morning and good afternoon to everyone that's joining us here today. I'm Amanda Santiago, Associate Director of Engagement here at NPower, and I want to thank you for joining us in our Mentorship and Growing Hispanic Workforce panel discussion in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Diversity is a core value of the NPower mission, and we hope today demonstrates the deep commitment we have to support all communities on our aspiring tech leaders' work towards their professional goals. One of the most influential components of our trainees' journey is the professional development they receive through mentorship. So today we have 5 amazing panelists that can speak to the power of mentorship within the Hispanic and Latinx community. So we hope this conversation leaves you with a better idea of the need for diverse mentors, the values, strengths, and challenges of Hispanic and Latinx professionals, and the steps supporters and employers can take to prepare for one of the largest workforce groups in the United States. So to kick off this conversation, I would like to call on our moderator and panelists for introductions. Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Amanda Aguilar, to the virtual stage.
Thank you for the welcome. My name is Amanda, and I'm the NPower Match Manager for NPower's virtual mentorship program. As a proud Latina, I'm very excited to be a part of NPower's Hispanic Heritage Month celebration and wish to introduce our highly esteemed guests for today. To the right of my screen, we have Ana Arastizabal, Director of Business Growth at H-Tech Group and NPower Match Mentor, Ivan Alvarado, DevOps Engineer at Deloitte, also an NPower Match Mentor, Michael Claudio, IT Operations Manager at the Carlyle Group, NPower Match Mentor, Reza Chavez, apprentice at Sony Interactive Entertainment, alumna and also a current NPower Match mentee, and last but not least, Vanessa Velez Toro, Technical Director at Globant, another huge supporter of the NPower Match program. Thank you for participating in today's panel. I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights. Furthermore, I'm looking forward to hearing from our captive audience. Therefore, if you have any questions you would like to direct to our panelists, please feel free to list them in the Zoom Q&A function. We'll have a few minutes at the end to answer all of your questions. So I would like to kick us off, now that the NPower Familia is better acquainted, with a question for Reza and for Vanessa. What does being Hispanic or Latinx mean to you?
I could jump in. For me, like particularly, my mom being Mayan, so she's from Guatemala. It's really formed my identity in terms of like how I take charge of my life too, and everything that I pursue. I'm really proud of my roots. And for that same reason, it's pushed me to like be the first one to try a lot of things, like graduate college, to be able to land my apprenticeship like at a big tech company, and really to break down barriers. In terms of how it influenced me like professionally, it's really pushed me to network and try to try new things out.
Yeah, I will say that for me, it's everything basically. It represents me, it's my roots, and of course, it's my family and is my core.
Thank you both for sharing. There's so much to the Hispanic and Latin identity that we can celebrate. Continuing this theme, how has your Hispanic heritage shaped who you are today? Does your background influence your personal goals, professional pursuits? I'll direct this question to Ivan and then Anna.
Thank you, Amanda. Ivan, if you want, I'll start. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for joining us today. Ana Aristizabal. I'm from Colombia, from a city called Medellin. Hopefully you've learned about that city in some other shows. Medellin has shaped me to who I am. Medellin was a city that went through a lot of violence back in the 80s and the 90s. And then the city came, overcame that. And that's how it's influenced my personality, is how do we acknowledge what happened, but move to another stage, move to a better stage, try to show the best of us. How do we work together as a community and try to show what we can actually do, that our history doesn't represent us and doesn't have to be forever, and how we can change the image. So that's how it's definitely influenced me in my work and in my relationships.
For myself, I could say, I honestly didn't learn about, my Hispanic heritage growing up. I always knew I was Hispanic, but I grew up in a predominantly Black community. Um, so I never felt, growing up the need to learn Spanish. So, I'm one of those Hispanics that understand it and can carry a conversation um, in the way where I would respond in English, but I can, carry that conversation. Um, but I know that from my own personal experience, Hispanics are hard workers, and I've always known that of just about anyone that I know who's Hispanic. So I know that influences the way that I carry myself and how I perform my day-to-day duties when I'm in the office.
Thank you both for sharing that. Michael?
I mean, if on the related topic, I can relate to what you're saying. I am New York born and bred, but my drive to learn about my heritage, especially coming up as a young adult and a teenager, and the passion that we have as a community, and my family just showing that to me, really drives who I've become.
Thank you for that. We may not readily consider how our heritage and experiences influence our day-to-day, but they surely do, and it's great practice for everyone here to reflect on and embrace. The next question is for Michael and Reza. Have you experienced having a formal or informal mentor of Hispanic or Latinx descent? If so, what was that like?
So if you don't mind, I did not have a mentor actually coming into the IT industry and trying to break into my career, which actually drove me to really look towards this program as well, to be a mentor and be that kind of missing gap. When I did seek out mentorship, it wasn't somebody technically of Hispanic descent, but somebody who was really in the industry. It was hard to find others like me, peers that really could guide me in where I was trying to go with my career.
Well, for me, it was kind of informal. For those of you who've been a part of NPower, Gabriella, she's like part of the social support that you get in NPower, and she's really helped me like grow as a person. She gave great advice when I would meet with her on one-on-ones. She really helped my personal development when I was a part of the program. So for me, that's been like a key person in terms of like my personal growth at part of NPower. And she's helped me like grow a lot. So yeah.
Thank you. I know she's going to be happy to hear that and know that that's how you felt about the experience. So appreciate you sharing that. I feel that both of your comments certainly highlight the need for mentorship when navigating the workforce. We can always benefit from listening to mentors from all walks of life. The mentorship experience is only further enhanced when we can match with someone who relates to us or they can create a safe space for us. So hopefully our discussion today gets us even closer to our goal of more NPower Match mentors. Slightly pivoting, the next topic further explores mentorship and the Hispanic community. Ana, Ivan, or Reza, why should a student, early professional, or advanced professional consider formal mentorship?
I think related to what our previous speakers were talking, it's an experience that's very enriching actually for both parties. So from the mentee perspective, having someone that asks you good questions, that has good intentions towards you, that what he wants is to help you take a look at your life from a different perspective. That's what a mentor provides, right? From his experience, his background, he's willing and he wants to help. How can he help you look at things that we don't always see all of our phases of the way we speak or the way we do things? So having someone that gives you a different perspective and different look is a privilege right now.
Well, just to add to that, just speaking off of my own personal experience, um, having the mentors that I've had over the past, I would say, year or so, really helped guide my career into where it is now. And that just all came about from me kind of speaking up and changing the way I was kind of, quote unquote, playing the game. Um, but I started opening myself up to looking for that mentorship, and finding that it really helped, excel my career in a way that I would have never seen as fast as it has.
Coming from like a mentee's perspective, I felt like it's really helped me grow my network too. And a lot of the times it's not what you know, it's who you know. Uh, so really like leveraging that when I would meet with my like mentor and growing my network in order to make sure like, oh, like, hey, here's some tips, like, or I've heard of a job opening. Like it's easier for you to be able to land like a job or apprenticeship or a fellowship or whatever you're trying to grow into by really leveraging your network. So I felt like from a mentee's perspective, like really valuing what your mentor has to say can help you grow a lot on your personal development, your network, and a lot of things too.
And I really believe that, you all touched upon this and emphasized the value of mentorship throughout various career phases. So following this question, how do you prepare a mentee or Hispanic professional for some of the challenges they will face entering the workforce? I'll direct this question to Michael and Ivan.
Well, when I've been involved in the NPower program and I've been mentoring with students since somewhere around 2011, every student has always asked me the same question: how do I progress my career? How do I get to the next step? How do I, get out of this entry-level role? And my answer continues to remain the same. If you're coming into your day-to-day life and it's repetitive and it's easy and you got it and it's good and you're doing it wrong, you need to live in the uncomfortable zone. You need to get to where you've mastered it, and now you've got to move on to the next thing and bring things onto your plate that really make you feel uncomfortable and make you stretch and learn. And it's amazing, I'd flip the coin on that and say, like, being a mentor in the program has helped me push my leadership skills and my managerial skills into my career. So it's almost a double-edged sword, and in how the program, kind of feeds forward.
For me, I think some of the advice that I would give is one of the first things I think people should do is kind of take that good long look in the mirror and acknowledge what they're feeling when they're going into a new role. Don't try to mask it with any bravado or false confidence. I myself coming into this new role, I still deal with the imposter syndrome, and with that a fear of failure. But the way I combat that is just taking those moments to slow down and remind myself that somebody saw something in you to put you in the position that you're in, and just to hold focus on that and draw strength from that and push forward. Having that mentor and that support system, whether it be at home or in the office, never be afraid to reach out and look for that. I honestly can say that I wouldn't be where I am without my support system, whether it be, the support that I get from my wife at home, to my kids, on up to the people that lead me at work. The strongest buildings need support to stand. And, that applies to everyone here. That regardless of how strong you think you are, you still need some support to continue standing up.
I absolutely agree. And I feel that you both nicely covered some of the supports we can provide to both mentees and professionals. Thinking of support for our mentors, how can we continue to grow and retain a network of diverse mentors? So I'll ask Vanessa and then Michael.
Okay, sure. So I will say that is vital to keep in touch with your mentors. The feedback is going to be different depending on the current situation that you are going through. So try to keep them always in the loop. I will say also that for sure you always should be grateful for the conversations. There are moments that can be criticism. So be always open to have those conversations. And if there is something that is different, the opinion that is different than your personal opinion. I will say that also is important to provide feedback about the actions that the mentor has just suggested. So that way you are also going to be more active, and you can also propose alternative actions, or that you can consider other ways for things that you consider that can be appropriate to implement. And I will say that it's also super important to be creative. There are many ways that you can grow your network. There are things that are super simple, as you can just attend a class, you can participate in a training, you can join to a meetup group, you can read, you can do some research. So there are many ways that you can also reinforce your network and continue that growing. And building and growing your network is crucial for your professional growth.
Yeah, I'd say retaining mentors as well as part of that question, tracking that impact you've had. I mentioned I've been doing the program around 10 years, and some of my very first interactions with students, they've made levels of vice president in huge companies. And it's inspiring to see this young talent have grown, and have taken leadership roles themselves. That just inspires me to want to go back and put myself back in for another round of speaking to another young student who's just trying to break in the industry, and helping guide them on their initial steps.
Well, these are definitely tips that we can leverage for an NPower match. So I appreciate both of your feedback. I can also see employers utilizing these ideas. Diving deeper into some of our workforce-based questions, what are some of the benefits employers gain by implementing or partnering with a mentorship program?
You want to go first, Michael?
So I think retention is a big part of the platform there. When you see an employer is investing into its employees in many different ways and at all levels, and promoting diversity and growth, you really want to stay at an organization like that. And just growth and commitment from the individuals that are committed to delivering into that organization.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that, we bring literally diversity. We grew up in different environments. We grew up having lunch with our families, los abuelos, on Sundays, putting everyone together, working as a community, respecting people. So I believe those are characteristics that we have in ourselves that we bring into the work equation. Also, the ability of leadership, of working in community, teamwork, and really, I believe Ivan was mentioning earlier, just hard work, where we want to work, we want to stand out, we want to help. And that's definitely something different that companies gain by hiring people from our community.
Thank you so much. I also have seen firsthand, just through the NPower Match program, how mentorship has helped to provide safe spaces for employees. And I've seen mentoring pairs that have talked through different scenarios from a problem-solving perspective, and it really helped them to feel heard, be prepared to take the appropriate actions. So there's definitely a benefit there in implementing a mentorship program or partnering with a program like NPower Match. My next question is for Vanessa and Ivan. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that Latinx or Hispanics face in the workplace?
Yeah, I will say that the biggest challenge is the stereotypes. So people associate us with something that is something that doesn't define you, something that you are not. So I think that sometimes they are unable to see the person or the professional that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. That's honestly what I was going to say. You know, stereotypes is kind of the biggest thing that we face going in. So I definitely agree with Vanessa on that. Really don't have much to add.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. Oh,
I
go for
would
it.
actually like to add to that. You know, one thing that I've noticed throughout my career, from very large organizations to, you know, even where I'm at today, is a lack of representation in your upline. I have traditionally come to places where I look upward to my leaders, and I don't see my culture there, right? I'm actually in an organization today where my direct manager is of Latin descent. I have at least 3 people in my upline of Latin descent. And actually our CIO, who was just announced as new CIO, is a young woman of Latin descent as well. So it's exciting to see that we are breaking in just amazing ways in the industry. And just as we're defining on this entire platform, the future workforce of America, we are essentially dominating. So leaders in this type of platform are going to help drive that.
I absolutely agree. And I appreciate you highlighting those challenges. It leaves us with some food for thought in terms of preparing our mentees and also providing opportunities for growth in corporate spaces. Teresa and Vanessa, any thoughts on how we can support Hispanic or Latinx professionals entering the workforce and tech industry?
Yeah, so I will say that we always should promote an environment for professional growth. We always need to be also open to guide them and support them to live and experience the different roles that they can perform in any industry. So, for example, I'm part of an industry that is the information technology, and I mean, there are always opportunities for change your career path. So I will say that don't be afraid if one of your mentees is like interested in doing something like that, support them and guide them. There is room for everybody.
Similar to Vanessa's, like I agree with what she said too, like just really supporting like mentees in terms of like for opportunity growth or like feedback too. They have to be open to that too. I feel like mentors always have something good to add on. So yeah.
All right, thank you for your insights on this matter. My colleague Amanda has compiled some additional questions from the chat that are open to all panelists. So Amanda, can you share the first question with us?
Yes, absolutely. So our first question here today is, as a Latino, Latina, or Latinx professional, do you see yourself becoming a part of the C-suites? If so, what have been some challenges that you may have faced getting to the C-suites?
Thank you, Amanda. So like I said, open to any of you.
So I would say some people on this platform are considered already on the C-suite level. As I mentioned earlier, you know, our CIO, who's absolutely that's considered C-suite, is of Latin descent. If I was to speak to my personal experience, I think the only challenges that would be in the way are myself. Their resources are out there to educate yourself. And being on the C-suite level, no player at that level plays a small game. They play for the long game. And I don't care if you're from Hispanic descent, or any culture, right? That is something that you have to put in a level of work to and education to. And your only limitation should be your own self.
Absolutely agree with Michael. To add to that, sometimes we're afraid, for example, to speak because our accent is different. That's actually a conversation started. It's fun because people say, "Oh, where are you from? You have an accent. Where are you from?" And it's just an opportunity to create a connection using our superpower of speaking or understanding even Spanish. So like I completely agree with what Michael says. More of our imposter syndrome, or our fear of oh, I'm different, I may not make it. It's quite the opposite. Is I'm different, I have different things to add, and that's why I can make it.
And I kind of chuckled to myself because I thought back to like myself. I grew up knowing English first, and I had to learn. I wanted to learn Spanish, so I made a point to do that. And I would sound silly at first, just like butchering the words or using the wrong grammar. And it wasn't until I made that decision to like sound crazy, sound silly, but you won't do it until you fully immerse yourself. So just say what you want to say. And that's how I was able to fully learn the Spanish language. So I just chuckled hearing your experience on that, and I completely agree. And I do find it to be a superpower, you know, when you can connect to other individuals, and you have like a second language and a second culture and understanding. So I'll go back to Amanda. If you have another question from the chat, we'd definitely love to unpack that.
Awesome. So my next question is, what advice would you give to employers looking to hire Hispanic Latinx professionals? How can they leverage the unique skills and experiences that Hispanics and Latinx bring to the table?
Potluck lunches and good food. Any advice we give to companies and leaders is just to welcome in the diverse opinions, the diverse views of our culture. At any moment, and I always say as a thriving leader that I view myself to be, when I'm leading within my own organization and team, if I'm not taking diverse opinions from people within my space, and I'm only leading a charge from my view, then I'm going to fail. And companies that don't bring in diverse views and diverse opinions will set themselves up for failure.
To add to that one as well, and I've been hearing this lately a lot because I recently joined another company in where I'm the only Latina so far. They told me something that caught my attention is you bring energy. We're so enthusiastic, we're motivated, we like colors, we bring something different to the equation again, and that's why other companies who don't have the fortune of having Latinos in their community can benefit from us. Is we bring, like you were saying, diversity, different ways of thinking, challenging the status quo, how things have been done always, and a lot of good energy and hard work.
Completely agree. Amanda, if you have another question from the chat.
Yep. And I have here, what are some cultural lessons you still apply in your life that are universal lessons for all people from all backgrounds can learn from?
I will say that work hard, be always responsible, be always grateful for all of the opportunities.
I'd add to live your best life. You know, our culture is one of family and experiences. And in any culture, right, we work hard on a day-to-day, and we work hard to build our careers, but that should not be without enjoying and living, you know, our best culture and our best life.
And I'll say one lesson my dad has always taught me was to always remember to treat everyone the same, no matter what capacity or role they held, that you would treat them with the same honor, respect, and that you could learn from everyone. So I think that's the universal lesson that was very, very deeply rooted, like in my Puerto Rican culture.
To add to that one, Amanda, if I have one more second, is we care about other people. We want to help other people. If someone is not showing up at work, we call and we say, hey, are you okay? Are you sick? How can I help you? So that caring truthfully for the other person, not only we're workers and colleagues, but we're people, right? We're very caring about our colleagues.
And I saw a question that popped up in the chat. I think it was for Ivan. Amanda, did you have a question for Ivan?
Yes, this one is, what is the most important thing you've learned from a mentor?
Oh, I think it's to, let's see, let me go back a little bit here. But I think it was to just be honest with myself and to know what I want and to just speak that into truth. Because for a long time it was me trying to win at everything by myself. You know, and I think that's a trait coming from the Marine Corps. It was, you know, we have the strength to do everything on our own, despite having that team behind us. But it was always me trying to do everything on my own, achieve everything on my own. And, you know, when I finally started to see that, you know, I had people in my corner that were there to help, you know, I had to kind of change the way I did things. And, you know, I think that's what really led to all the changes that I've come into recently. And that was, that's just finding and having that ability to look within yourself and make those changes. It's not easy, because we're all ingrained to do what we've been doing for so many years.
Yeah, I kind of relate to that too, because there's, you know, there's a big sense of community. That's one of the values of, like, you know, a Hispanic upbringing. But there's also, at least with my family, there was a sense of like pride and having that same notion of like, you know, I can do it myself. I can, if I have, there's nothing that's not in my power for me to do. And it was like harder for me to seek out mentors. It's something that I had to learn to do. And fortunately for me, throughout my career, I've been blessed with really great supervisors, a lot of them strong women of color. And I think that's what helped to shape who I am today and shape how I help others. I think a lot of when I'm talking to mentees is basing it in my own lived experiences. So I can completely understand about how it's kind of hard to even go put yourself out there and ask someone to mentor you. So appreciate you touching on that, Ivan, because it definitely related to me, and I'm sure there's someone in the audience who can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, just to further elaborate on that, the very first person that I went to ask to be my mentor, I'm, you know, one of the things that I am is I'm very blunt, and I told her straight out, this is me stepping out of my comfort zone, coming to you. I just want to, you know, I want to make that clear. So she understood where I was coming from, and you know, she also understood that with me, she was going to get me. She was going to get the truth. So yeah, so you know, that's basically that. You know, just don't be afraid to be you.
And Michael, we're gonna have to get you to trademark that term of the uncomfort zone, because it's genius. Anyone else have thoughts on this question before we go to another one in the chat?
You know, I'd actually reverse it, and you know, the most important thing I learned from my mentees, and some of like a couple of my first NPower mentees, I've watched them struggle. I've within their careers grow and stretch and look for more, and you know, even get to some points in their career where you know they didn't know what to do, and they made hard decisions that put them in places that were unexpected. And you know what? It just it opened my eyes to, you know, they can do so much. You know, I should be able to continue to push myself and do the same.
And to add to that same line, one thing that mentees can look for when they're feeling lost is some help from the mentor identifying their strengths. We don't have to be good in everything. We have our natural strengths, things that we like and that we're good at. Work around that. And that's one of the advantages of having a mentor, that he can help you like overcome that fear of like, the world is too big, I don't know where to start, but I'm good at this. Take that and build from there.
Yeah, that is one of the concerns I would say for the mentees, is like trying to identify that right role for themselves. So it's a big topic, and I feel like, you know, the advice you just shared will help them tackle that. So Amanda, any other questions from the chat?
Oh, I have plenty, you guys. So another question we have here is, if there was a recipe for successful communication and you had 3 ingredients to add to this recipe, what would those ingredients be? So 3 ingredients for a recipe for successful communication.
I'm gonna start with honesty. That has to be there first and foremost. You have to be honest with the mentor, and you have to be honest with yourself.
I will say respect. Always be open to receive feedback and always be respectful for the feedback that you provide.
I'd add empathy. Just knowing that who you're guiding and who you're communicating with and directing, you really have their true intentions at heart.
I see a couple of comments in the chat that they really like the recipe you'll put together.
You could turn that into a t-shirt.
Honesty, respect, and empathy. Amanda, any other questions?
Okie dokes, on to our next one. What advice do you have for young Latinas or Hispanic women getting into the tech field?
Be diligent. So when I started, I was really trying to break in the door in the very late 90s and the early 2000 era, and I, despite being certified in a number of different technical platforms, could not find my way to the door for the life of me. And it got very frustrating, and to a point where I didn't think that I would be able to even get to the door. And I saw images of what I thought I wanted my life to be, and I had this vision of where I wanted my career to go, but it just felt so far away. But persistence will eventually get you to that right place. And then if you're, obviously we've discussed, as a Hispanic descent, you're going to work hard, you're going to put in that sweat equity, and it's going to develop into something amazing.
To add to that question, I love the question because that's something I've been living for my whole career, almost my 15 years working. Technology is an amazing world. It's still mostly dominated by men. My advice would be bold, trust yourself. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm going to a meeting, the C-suite are all men and I'm the only woman, so I gotta be shy, or I gotta let them talk. No, be bold, be yourself. There's a word from my hometown, Medellin, Vanessa can relate to this, is being berraca. Berraca means like trusting yourself and forget about the fear, just go and do it. I would advise that.
I love that. I'm thinking of like in Puerto Rico, what the term would be, and it's a caballota. It's like a cowgirl, you know, vaquera, you go for it. Vanessa?
Yeah, I will say that be confident. I mean, there are many times and opportunities where I have felt that I'm not like the most, like, I don't know, like the smartest person in the room, or that I'm not the person that has the knowledge or things like that, but just be confident. You have the capabilities, you have the opportunities, and you have the commitment, and you can do it. It's just believing in yourself, believing that you can do it. So as Anna mentioned before, still in the information technology field, we have this gap. So I'm always like in meetings that I'm, as she said, like the only woman in that room, but that only gives me more like strength, like more power, like that's just that gives me like more fuel. So that way I'm like, okay, no, I can do it. I mean, I wanna like open this space, not for me, but also for the other women that they are like seeing me as a leader or seeing me as a mentor. So I think that that's also something that it can be seen as an opportunity instead of something that is like a threat against us.
And I wanted to share an experience from one of our alumna of the Tech Fundamentals program in New York. Her name is Charlene Youve, and she's a Latina who's a close friend of mine as well. She explained that when she was in the program, she found herself to be a little bit more reserved, and she saw how others would participate and chime in conversations and how far that really got them. So she noted that and wanted to change it. And that's one of the advice that she now shares with other alumni or trainees of the program, is just to put yourself out there, to feel comfortable asking questions, and try to find a way to relate or identify with others by engaging in conversation. So I think that's another solid advice from a Latina who went through our program. So I saw a couple of more really interesting questions that came in through the chat. Amanda, if you have anyone in particular that you would like to share.
Yeah, so my question here, and I have so many, what advice would you give a current NPower trainee that is unsure if they need or would benefit from having a mentor?
I would say you never know what kind of life experience you're going to get when you get that mentor assigned to you. And the value that comes from their experience could be, just what you need to get you going into that next step. I know that, speaking with some of my mentees, I tried to kind of push them using my experiences, because I know and I remember clearly what I went through, going into this career change. I served in the Marine Corps, I did law enforcement, and then there was a period in time where I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, leaving law enforcement. So going into that and having that fear of change and not knowing what to do, I use that to help guide the people that I'm trying to, help mold and help excel their careers. So it's just don't be afraid to kind of speak to what you're afraid of, really. Just be, again, and I hate to touch back on something that I said before, but just be honest with yourself.
I would add to that, give it a shot. You have nothing to lose and many things to gain from that. You always can learn something from a connection, a conversation, even not from that person, but learning something about yourself, how you acted, how you responded. Just give it a shot.
Yeah, I'd add to that. You're just building your network. And one thing I've learned in my career is there's nothing like the power of the network. The more people you know in different industries and different spaces, you get yourself put in a position where you have to accomplish something that you may not have the tools to do. And in your network, you do have that, right? So as you build and you take on a mentor, you're building your network.
Yeah, and myself, as the NPower Match Manager, I can tell you that we take a very organic approach in ensuring that you're matched with someone who shares maybe some shared interests or perhaps they have a career path that you express interest in your application. So the matching is going to be according to what your interests are and the criteria or demographics you share. In addition to having the connection to your mentor, we also try to build out opportunities for you to connect with other mentors and other mentees in the NPower Match program. So we have a platform where you would be able to join groups, share messages with one another, express maybe some help that you would like for your LinkedIn profile, or if you're preparing for an interview. So it's nice having an additional person in your corner, and then with a program like NPower Match, having a group in your corner. So I think those are some of the benefits of joining a mentorship program or having an informal or formal mentor. And I think we have time for at least one or two more questions. So Amanda, if you have a question, maybe for the mentor perspective or mentee, we have Reza, who's also a mentee of the program, who can speak to that.
Awesome. So this question would be, for those that are becoming mentors, what are some ways you can motivate a mentee or a Hispanic or Latinx professional to focus on their goals? What are some ways you can help them overcome setbacks or strive for success?
I'd say it's important to set your goals and create yourself a not necessarily a plan, but just kind of your small steps. Start building your small wins towards your channel. You want to be a DevOps engineer, like my friend Ivan here. Well, where are you starting there? Are you starting in a small certification? Are you starting on reading a large book around Python? Where are your small goals? And start building on them and achieving on them, and then reward yourself for them. Be happy and celebrate those small goals as you make your path towards the larger end state. And when you reach your end state, rebuild that to the next platform.
Also,
Yeah,
maybe
just to add to that, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just going to say, just to add to that, my wife likes to say every small accomplishment is a big win. So, always celebrate everything that you achieve.
To add to that, also sharing our personal experiences and failures and showing that you can always learn from that. We're not perfect, none of us. Actually, failing is good. Failing fast and overcoming that is the only way we grow and we learn. Another thing that we try to do is connecting, or in my personal experience, I try to connect with people on the field. So for example, if I get connected with a mentee that wants to go into DevOps and I'm more of the management area, I connect him with a DevOps to discuss day-to-day what they do, details on how to get prepared. So again, going back to our network, use us for network. That's what we're here for, to connect you and help you guys here.
And I just wanted to highlight Reza because you had a really exciting apprenticeship. Any advice that maybe Gabriela or anyone else at NPower had provided you that you were able to put into action during your apprenticeship?
I guess one of the advice that she would always give me, like Gabriela, for example, or other people that I've met, like at Tony too, like I've had mentors there too, is really just to don't be afraid to ask questions. And like how Anna said, like don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna find out a lot of times you don't know everything, and that's perfectly fine. That's how you have to learn to like not be afraid and ask questions, because like if you act like you know everything, people will treat like you know everything. And then when you fail at something, you're like, oh, but I thought you knew it. And then you see that you didn't know everything. So it's always good to really ask your mentor like for questions, or like how Ivan pointed out and saying like always look for mentorship. Ask people, like if you see someone that's in like a field that you like, or you see someone that that has something that you want, or qualities that you see in leadership that you actually want, ask them for like a mentorship. That's what I felt like I got a lot from NPower. and from like my mentors, both informal and formal, is that like don't be afraid to ask questions. And when you see something that you like in a leader, don't be afraid to ask them to be like your mentor.
I love that. Thank you so much, Lisa. That's super helpful. I know our trainees in the audience will appreciate that feedback. So I wanted to transition to my colleague Kelly. So before I do that, I just wanted to thank you all in the chat for contributing to today's conversation and asking such thought-provoking questions. We shared some articles in the chat as well for further consideration if you really enjoyed today's topics. And now I'd like to introduce our Senior Director of Strategy and Engagement, Kelly Antonucci, for closing remarks. Kelly?
Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you to all of our panelists. This has just been a fantastic discussion, so rich, such great advice. I always love these sessions because I always walk away with several things, that I can take and go ahead and use. Oh, sorry, my video is not on. Hopefully everyone can see me, but again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, for taking part in this impactful discussion in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. As you have heard today about the impact that mentoring has, and just want to emphasize that the impact is obviously tremendous on the mentee, but also the impact that it has on the mentor. So it really is a relationship that benefits both parties, and it can be really helpful for mentors with their own career advancement, developing their own leadership skills, as well as bringing up the next generation of tech professionals and supporting our mentees, because the person that you are mentoring today, they could very well be your colleague in a few years. So it's a great opportunity to engage, to support, and really strengthen the entire network. So just encourage you, I hope that you have been inspired with what you have heard today to sign up to be an NPower Match mentor and support one of our NPower trainees or alumni. And with your help, we will surely be able to reach our goal of 100 new mentors for NPower Match. And if you are interested, if you'd like more information, you can visit the website. You can also reach out to us at volunteering@npower.org, and we will be sending out an email with all of that information. And just a huge thank you to everyone for coming out today and participating. And with that, I'll just hand it back to Amanda for any final comments.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So appreciate our panelists here as well. Thank you, Vanessa, Anna, Michael, Reza, and Ivan, for all of your insights today. It was a pleasure. I've learned so much. So looking forward to our next event with NPower, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.